Welcome, everyone. What a blessing it is to be gathered here this week to receive the sacred words of Kyoshu-sama, Masaaki-sama, truly follow the will of Meishu-sama. We were in a short recess, so I appreciate your understanding since we were closed for the holidays. But it's great to be back this week. Speaking of holidays, we are approaching the end of the year where so many celebrations are taking place. We'll be celebrating Christmas, New Year, and with those celebrations, one major thing that comes to mind is food. This week, we will be reading together, as promised, the transcript from Masaaki-sama's sacred word, message number 20, entitled Food. It couldn't be at a better time for us to be looking at these sacred words, to be receiving this sacred word and will of Meishu-sama as we prepare for the end of the year. So I look forward to reading it with you right after this. Welcome, everybody. As we begin our study, let us remember that it is only by God's grace, by Kyoshu-sama's permission, that we are able to gather together and receive these sacred words and study them. Furthermore, we are only able to truly receive the true will of Meishu-sama because of the existence of Kyoshu-sama. And with that in mind, humbly, let's receive this sacred word this week. Let us invite all our ancestors, all humanity at this moment to participate in this study with us. They are all alive within us and together can receive this sacred word with us. And let us keep in mind that as we do this study, the many thoughts, many feelings that well up from within us are also for us to return to God, in service to God, and share God's salvation with all our ancestors, with all humanity during this study. With that thought in mind, let us begin today's study with the Church Canon. Church Canon. With great fear of God, we acknowledge that the Lord God is our true Father, the one and only God. We revere Meishu-sama as the model for all humanity and as our own example to follow. Meishu-sama, who was born anew as the true child of God, the Messiah, by receiving the divine will that God accomplished in heaven. We believe that Jesus Christ, who 2,000 years ago embodied the name of Messiah, the name most holy and high, is serving the Lord God in unity with Meishu-sama. And we regard the sacred word of Kyoshu-sama, who reveals to us the will of Meishu-sama in this material world as the sole, absolute, and irreplaceable foundation in advancing our mission here on earth. Words of prayer. God, I acknowledge that you are alive. Within me, you are alive. I thank you for nurturing me to be newly born as your child. May this blessing be shared with all. In the name of Messiah, which is one with Meishu-sama, I surrender myself to you. Please use me as you wish. Thank you. This week's Instagram post that I chose comes from Kyoshu-sama's sacred word in 2014, July 1st and 2nd, 2014, that was delivered at the Grand Ancestor Service. And in it, Kyoshu-sama shares with us the following. We should never forget this. Meishu-sama suffered from illness for us. He was born anew for us. Without his suffering, we would never be able to realize our true mission of becoming God's true child. Again, we should never forget this. Meishu-sama suffered from illness for us. He was born anew for us. Without his suffering, we would never be able to realize our true mission of becoming God's true child. Receiving this sacred word from Kyoshu-sama really comes hand in hand with Masaaki-sama's sacred word that we'll be studying today regarding food, as we see Masaaki-sama expressing this very feeling of Kyoshu-sama for us, this very truth that Kyoshu-sama is sharing with us about Meishu-sama and why Meishu-sama had to suffer for us, right? Why Meishu-sama went through so much illness for us, and where we can go from here. So with this in mind, I like to read with you today this sacred word. Masaaki-sama's message number 20, food, October 2023. Masaaki-sama shares, today I want to talk about something completely different, about food. Let me start with Meishu-sama's sacred word, the life of faith I have walked. He wrote, I want to live. I want to live. That was all I could think of. This made me visit a doctor. My heart already ached for the poverty-stricken life of my father and mother. And what is more, I was required to take expensive medications. I cried and cried. Tears welled up in my heart, and I had no way of stopping them. But how miserable I was, who was forsaken by God. Even though I was able to get a diagnosis from Dr. Irisawa, a leading figure in the medical world at the time, it was too late. There was no chance for my lung disease to be cured. Young boy, you must give up. The doctor didn't actually utter these words, but I knew it full well. And I thought to myself, the only hope for surviving is through a miracle. In my endless despair, I yearned for something, perhaps a light somewhere in the distance, barely discernible. My heart unconsciously looked up at it. This compelled me to quit all my medications and meat eating that my doctor recommended. I went on a strict vegetarian diet and let my illness run its own course. Then, how strange and mysterious, day after day, my health began to improve. And before I knew it, illnesses that caused me so much suffering were completely gone. Meishu-sama, who was given up by a doctor and whose only hope for surviving was a miracle, cured his illness through a strict vegetarian diet. Of course, without eggs or dairy products. Through this experience, Meishu-sama learned that food could affect health and that great were the effect and advantages of a vegetarian diet. Throughout his life, whenever he had any type of purification, Meishu-sama always went on a strict vegetarian diet. Not only that, he cured his wife's illness through a vegetarian diet, and also made members who came to receive Jorei, that is, members who were sick, practice a vegetarian diet too. Apparently, most of them were cured through a vegetarian diet. Just want to make a quick pause, right? It wasn't until this sacred word of Masaaki-sama that this truly hit home, right? One, all the illness that Meishu-sama endured, right? He went through, and leading him up to the fact that he was cured through a vegetarian diet, right? That really clicked, right, through this sacred word. Another point that really moved me and touched me was reading and hearing about this sacred word of Meishu-sama. His experience regarding his own illness was that he changed his entire diet and let the illness run its course, right? Meishu-sama, in a way you could say, for, I guess, no other option maybe, he embraced that and let it run its course, where we usually have the opposite mindset, right? We are fighting that illness. We are trying to stop that situation. Meishu-sama, on the other hand, let it run its course. And to his surprise, as we saw here, after he quit all meat eating and went on a strict vegetarian diet, as Masaaki-sama is showing here also, without eggs or dairy products, his illnesses that had been, making him suffer so much disappeared, right? We're completely gone, as Meishu-sama says, right? And on top of that, another point that really, really struck me was that not only Meishu-sama cured himself through this strict vegetarian diet, but his wife's illness as well, and that of members who were sick and came to receive Jorei, right? We hear about all these experiences, right? Members' lives who are changed, but they did not only just receive Jorei, they changed their diet by Meishu-sama's recommendation, and with that, they were cured through that diet, right? They were cured through a vegetarian diet. So I think this is a very important point for us to take a moment and reflect on. Masaaki-sama continues. Still further, he warned us of the negative effects that meat eating could have on the body. All of you might already know this, as he wrote it and said it so many times, but Meishu-sama repeatedly taught us that the cause of cancer is simple. It is due to meat eating. He wrote, "It is said that the most feared illness today is cancer, so let me write about its cause." Well, the cause is very simple and straightforward. It is due to the accumulation of toxins from meat eating. Even for those whose health is in good condition, Meishu-sama said that if you must eat pork or beef, keep it under once a week, maximum, for it clouds the blood. He said, if you must eat. In other words, he's saying that if you can avoid eating it, avoid it. And here, he was talking about men. For women, he did not recommend eating pork or beef at all. This is very big, right? Just pausing for a second, right? One thing that I was not aware, Meishu-sama and Meishu-sama's sacred word, and it's come to light, right, is Meishu-sama's stance on pork and beef, right? Meishu-sama sharing, if you must eat, right, keep it under once a week maximum. Under once a week maximum, for it clouds the blood. If you must eat, right? So almost like someone's saying in other words, if you can avoid eating it, avoid it. That's huge, right? That's really something for us to look upon and reflect in our diet, right? Furthermore, for women, he did not recommend eating pork or beef at all. Right? That's a very different way of seeing the world, right? Meishu-sama's way of seeing the world and the way the world has done up till recently, right? Furthermore, something that really, going back one slide, when Meishu-sama talks about the cause of cancer, today there's so much cancer illnesses in the world, right? And here Meishu-sama says it is very simple and straightforward. It is due to the accumulation of toxins from meat eating. And what do those toxins do? As we can see here in the next slide, it clouds the blood, right? As we saw here. So, this is very big for anybody who is going through this kind of situation or knows somebody who is going through this kind of situation, right? I think it's very important for us to reflect on that. Masaaki-sama continues. As such, Meishu-sama Meishu-sama's understanding of nutrition was completely different from the one that was advocated by science and believed by people back then, and that is believed by people today too. Meishu-sama said that even though people might think that meat, which is believed to be high in protein, gives them energy, strength, and power, actually it is the opposite. Meishu-sama taught us that what gives people energy, strength, and power is in fact vegetables, and that meat eating weakens people. He said, if you eat meat, of course it weakens you. When his chefs prepared meat for him, Meishu-sama said to them, don't make me eat these foods that lack nutrition. Please serve me vegetables as they contain more nutrition. Again, just making another pause here, right? This is also something, a great insight into Meishu-sama's daily life, right? The Masaaki-sama is bringing up for us. Truly, what Meishu-sama's stance was on meat, what Meishu-sama's stance was on vegetables, and Meishu-sama's very words we're getting to receive, right? Don't make me eat these foods that lack nutrition. Please serve me vegetables as they contain more nutrition. This is very, very important for us to receive, I believe, right? And very different from the way the world sees today, or many people still see today. Meishu-sama is clearly showing that it's the contrary, right? Masaaki-sama continues. While it is true that Meishu-sama did eat meat, mainly in the form of fish and occasionally chicken, he had a strong belief that humanity should move in the direction of having a vegetarian diet. So there's no misunderstanding. I should add that Meishu-sama's staple food was, of course, a grain, that is, rice. Grains should always be the main part of one's diet. This part of the sacred word, right, receiving this, something really struck me, and was when Meishu-sama talks about meat eating. For a long time, I had the misunderstanding. Meishu-sama was talking about red meat and pork, right? But here, we can truly see that when Meishu-sama is addressing meat eating, he of course addressed red meat, right? Beef and pork, and how we should avoid it and keep it to a maximum once a week, as Masaaki-sama is showing. But Meishu-sama's main form of meat was fish and chicken. And for a long time, I saw it and I misunderstood this, and I thought Meishu-sama was saying that, beef and pork is not good, but in my understanding, fish and chicken are different, right? And I twisted that and lived contrary to Meishu-sama's diet for a long time, right? Believing that that was okay, or it was better than beef and pork, right? But furthermore, and to really see how far I was from Meishu-sama's vegetarian diet, Meishu-sama was saying that humanity should move in the direction of having a vegetarian diet. And of course here, as Masaaki-sama is saying, Meishu-sama is stressing without eggs or dairy products, right? I didn't know that at all. I didn't see it that way at all, right? So that was a big divergent factor in the way I was living and the way Meishu-sama really wished for each one of us to live, right? And furthermore, here Masaaki-sama stresses, right, so that there's no misunderstanding, I should add that Meishu-sama's staple food was, of course, a grain, that is, rice. Grain should always be the main part of one's diet. Nowadays, there's so many different diets, right, where grain's not even the main part at all, right? So you have meat as the main part or other ingredients as the main part. But for Meishu-sama, the main part of one's diet was rice. Masaaki-sama continues. He taught us that with nature farming, the taste of grains and vegetables will improve dramatically, which should make people turn into vegetarians. And he said that vegetarianism is one of the prerequisites of the world of Miroku, a paradise on earth. He's essentially saying that when a paradise on earth comes, all people will be on a vegetarian diet. This is also very big, right? How many of us were aware of this truth of Meishu-sama? Right? Meishu-sama saying that the world of Miroku, living in that world, a prerequisite for that is a vegetarian diet. And people, all people will be on a vegetarian diet. That's huge, right? It's a huge shift. And you can think, oh, that's impossible. That's never going to happen. And, you know, that's truly underestimating God, right? God is going to bring us into that. And it is already moving in that direction, right? So we have a choice to embrace this or not, right? Are we going to embrace this truth, live it, or not? Masaaki-sama continues. Meishu-sama said to one of his close assistants, when vegetables are delicious, people will eat them more. This would change human nature itself. Social evils and diet are related. As the world of Miroku approaches, people will have to eat a vegetarian diet. This is also so full of content, right? So amazing. And one thing's for sure, right? And we can notice, and not even at the, nature farming that Meishu-sama is talking about, but even just comparing a lot of vegetables today, conventional farming, and moving toward the organic. And then if you have the opportunity to have nature farming, as Meishu-sama shown and taught us, the taste is completely different, right? Even in my own personal experience, I learned to enjoy a lot of vegetables that for years I didn't eat because it was very carnivorous and very, meat focused diet for many years. And I learned to appreciate vegetables and their taste when I spent my time in Japan. Right, in those years in Japan, actually being exposed to nature farming and to the true taste of those, most delicious vegetables, really brought me to a whole new level of, enjoying vegetables that I hadn't experienced before. And that was thanks to nature farming that Meishu-sama left for us. He continues, reading all these sacred words of Meishu-sama made me realize once again how important the farmers of nature farming are for the construction of a paradise on earth. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all those who, on a daily basis put so much effort into the practice of nature farming, into the fulfillment of Meishu-sama's wish. Thank you. Keep in mind, though, that Meishu-sama was not advocating vegetarianism out of some ethical or environmental reasons, something quite common in the Western world today. Rather, he was advocating it for the positive effect it can have on the human body, on our health. Of course, if the natural environment improves as a result of vegetarianism, Meishu-sama would not deny such benefit. But we have to remember that the main purpose for Meishu-sama in talking about diet was for our body and mind to be healthy. Quick pause here, right? This is very common here in the West, visiting many vegetarian, vegan places. A lot of people ask, right, why are you choosing this path? Why have you chosen this path? And is it for nature? Is it for the animals? And here, it's very clear that this is very different than what Meishu-sama is talking about, right? Where this is for the very purpose of our health. And one thing that really caught my mind is that we are talking about, this diet, as Meishu-sama is talking about, but for our body and mind to be healthy, right? They're related. As we saw earlier, where Meishu-sama cites that all these social evils are directly related to our diet, right? To our food, as Masaaki-sama cited, right? So without a sound body, we don't have a sound mind, right? And for the benefit of both is the diet, right? This change in our diet. Masaaki-sama continues. After all, the motto of World Church of Messiah when Meishu-sama was alive was to construct a world completely free from illness, poverty, and conflict. Okay, everyone, how are you taking this message? What I don't want you to feel is that, from now on, I can't eat meat, or I have to eat this and that, or I have to be a vegetarian. I can understand how difficult it must be for all of you to practice the diet indicated by Meishu-sama, and I am in no way forcing it on anyone. I hate faith based on commandments, and I don't want anyone to feel that they have to change their diet when they are not willing to, or when they want to eat certain foods. Please do eat the food that pleases you and your family. But at the very least, I want you to gain this knowledge about what Meishu-sama said on food, which I believe most of you did not know until today. When you are diagnosed with cancer, for example, or when your health condition does not improve, no matter how much you listen to your doctor, or when you are in doubt as to whether the diet you follow is really in accordance with Meishu-sama's will, on these occasions, if you can remember today's message, even if just a little, somewhere in your hearts, that would be much more than enough for me. So please, never feel any pressure as to what you can eat or cannot eat. Eat what you like, please. Our church never had, has, or will have any rules or commandments to follow. And the same goes for the issue of food. I mean, aren't we already freed from such kind of narrow-minded faith thanks to Jesus and Meishu-sama? But when you find yourself trapped, or when you feel like there's no way out in terms of your health, or when you are suffering from any kind of disease, I hope you can recall what you heard today. It might help you then. I believe that is why Meishu-sama had to suffer from certain illnesses and overcome them through a vegetarian diet. Remember, Meishu-sama left the sacred word I cited today for us, for our health. My intention is the same. This is really big, right? Take a moment here. Two things, right? It's not about this obligation, this commandment. Now I have to eat, I can't eat, and this narrow-minded faith, as Masaaki-sama shares here. But at the same time, it's a choice, right? Knowing that what I'm eating, what I put in my body, there are repercussions to that, right? And do I truly want to live with a sound body and a sound mind, right? And we can make that choice, right? But in no way are we being obligated, right, to do it this way or that way. Somebody asked recently, right? So now I can't eat anymore. I can't do this anymore. And I said, of course not, right? You're free to eat what you want, but also be aware that your body is going to react to that accordingly, right? It's not something that we do and there's no reaction to it. Everything that we put into our body, there's going to be a reaction, a positive or a negative to that as well, right? So keep that in mind. Another point that I think is so underappreciated, and we are learning to see and really grasp its meaning and be truly grateful for Meishu-sama and Meishu-sama's life. Meishu-sama's example is, as Masaaki-sama is sharing here, right? The fact that Meishu-sama had to suffer from certain illnesses and overcome them through a vegetarian diet for us, right? He left this sacred word for us. Meishu-sama went through that hardship through his life, right from the very beginning, and many times he was sick and overcame these illnesses through this vegetarian diet to show us the way, right? The path, the true will of God for us, the way God really intended for that for us. And we are so blessed for it, right? If you really think about everything that he went through to show us, then how can we take that for granted, right? How can we ignore that? I think is something that we need to really look into in our hearts, right? To seek and align ourselves with Meishu-sama. Masaaki-sama continues. Meishu-sama said that in the world of Miroku, in the ideal world to come, everyone will turn into a vegetarian. To me, Meishu-sama's sacred word is always sacred and unchangeable. And I believe that this day will come when Meishu-sama's will is fulfilled. I think we have created an image of Meishu-sama that is completely different from the one that is expressed in Meishu-sama's sacred word I cited today. Completely different from the true image of Meishu-sama. The Meishu-sama who wishes for all humanity to turn into vegetarians. So, finishing here, right, we can see many things, right? And as one that I stress over and over during these studies, these readings, is how blessed we are to have Kyoshu-sama, to have Masaaki-sama leading us, right? To truly see who Meishu-sama was, who Meishu-sama is that was cited in the sacred word today, right? What Meishu-sama really wanted for us, what Meishu-sama really went through for us, and why, as we saw in the Instagram post as well from Kyoshu-sama, right? Today, we are being led to the true path of Meishu-sama, right? To walk this true path of Meishu-sama, receiving Meishu-sama's true will. And with a joyful heart and grateful heart for that, and to truly know real Meishu-sama, right? The true Meishu-sama, we can express our gratitude answering to this true Meishu-sama that's being revealed to us, who's revealing himself through Kyoshu-sama, through Masaaki-sama for us now, and follow in his footsteps into the world of Miroku, where all people will turn into vegetarians. With that thought in mind, I'd like to conclude the study this week. This sacred word and video link is available in our study description. Make sure you go to it, click on it. It's really enriching and encouraging, right? Encouraging for us to move forward into this new world that God is guiding us to. Thank you so much. May all honor, may all glory be returned to God always.